Look at these beautiful iris flowers. Named after the Greek goddess of the rainbow, it's one of the oldest garden flowers. These spring blooms are something I wait for every year. And there's more than these dark purples you see here. There's yellows, the blues. So it's just a fantastic perennial. But eventually they're going to start looking like this. Now, if you like to grow different herbaceous perennials, you know that most of them have their day where they look fantastic, and throughout the season they just kind of can dwindle and start looking rough, but iris fits that bill. And one of the things about iris, eventually you do have to divide those rhizomes. That's the project today. This has been here, I bet, about 7 years now, and it's more recommended to divide those iris about every 3 to 5 years. What happens is those older rhizomes, once they flower, they're not going to bloom anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this apart, take the younger rhizome. That's going to give us the bigger, showier blooms. Unfortunately, this entire clump has to be cut out. This is about 5 feet across now. So we've got a project ahead of us. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to break out the big guns for this project. I've got this fork that you see here, and it's sold as a tool that breaks up compact soil, but I use it for carrots, I use it for potatoes. Never used it on iris before, but I have a feeling it's going to work pretty darn good on this project and speed up what could be a tougher project with a small shovel. There's a clump of iris. The rhizomes are typically just going to break apart. You've got a clump this big. You've got some pretty wet soil here too. There's no gentle way to do this. If it was a little bit drier, that soil would flake right off and they would bust apart. It's recommended that you go ahead and divide your iris about 4 to 6 weeks before you start freezing up if you live in a cold climate. We're end of September here. That puts us about a month away. I think before we start freezing up, that can vary a little bit. I think there's a good chance we're going to have to move this operation onto a table, spread them out a little bit more where I can get a little better look at them. These are great tables. We use these for a lot of different things. You can wash vegetables on them because they've got that webbing, the mess, the soil will go right through. We use them in the spring when we start our annuals and vegetables. You can slide them outside for the day, bring them back in at night. Typically when I dig iris up, I like to let them just cure for a day or two. You can either leave them in the sun or leave them in your garage or your garden shed for a day or two. That'll help callus off where we're going to make the cuts. And I believe that's going to be a little bit safer to put them in the ground once that callus is formed. We're going to actually discard some of the older roots. You can see here, there really were no leaves. And here we've got, I think, probably the best example of an old rhizome. No leaves on it, no fans. These are spent, and we're just going to continue to find the smaller rhizomes or the side rhizomes. They're going to give us that beautiful, showy flower next spring. Always be on the lookout for the iris borer, small worm. You want to make sure you discard them, and it's not recommended to compost the iris bulbs. Okay, that's about as perfect, I think, as we can get, because when we're going to plant this, those roots are going to go like that. We're going to leave the top portion of this rhizome exposed, and then you've got your leaf here, and that's going to kick out just an incredible bloom next year. There you go. It's a new day here. We finished dividing our rhizomes, and I thought we'd come up with just a few more than we did, even though we've got this bin here, about 50 different divisions. For our next step, we're going to go ahead, we're going to get this area prepped now to put those divisions back in. We've created a pretty good divot here where we took out that large clump. We'll rake out those iris leaves, and then we're going to head over to an area where I've got some really nice loam topsoil. We'll get some of that over here. And we're going to bring that back up to a little bit of a mound, because we'll get some settling, and then we'll put those iris in the ground, get them ready for next spring. We'll add some slow release fertilizer in here as well to get our iris rhizomes off to a good start. I'm going to shoot for about 1 division every 12 inches, and we're not going to use them all, that's for sure. By the way, the iris we're working with today are the bearded iris, sometimes called the German iris. They're winter hardy to zones 3 through 9, and it's best to plant them in a location with at least 6 hours of sun each day. The bearded iris need moisture in the spring, but after that they'll actually appreciate a very dry environment. We're all set in this bed. Let's take a look at one more area where we're going to get a new bed of iris started. We're going to go ahead and move most of these wood chips out of the way. Yeah. And we'll quick loosen up this soil as well. You don't want to bury wood chips in the soil. They'll end up robbing the nitrogen from the plant. So we'll get as many as we can just moved aside. And if you feel like you put your rhizomes in just a little bit deep, just a gentle watering, you're going to notice you'll uncover the top of that rhizome pretty quick. Here we've got another group of iris that we're going to leave these for about another year or two more. They're tucked away underneath this Russian almond. Look at this thing in the spring, just a beautiful flowering shrub. We're going to go ahead though and we're going to cut back the foliage. So we'll get this cleaned up a little bit, get ahead of the chores for this fall. As always, thanks again for watching Garden Hike. We'll see you again next video.